All right, guys, today we're answering the question, should I wait to buy?
You better get fired up.
Happy Friday. What's going on, guys? It's good to see you. I hope you had a great week. Today we're going to talk about probably the most asked question that I get. And I get it on the buy side and the sell side. Maybe we'll talk about it a little bit more on the sell side at another time. But first, I want to say, whether you're watching this on Facebook or on YouTube, if you've got questions, comments, anything like that, feel free to put it down below, and I will absolutely touch on them before the end of this video, right? If it's the end of the video, I'll get back and comment on it. But should you wait to buy? It's typical when prices go way up, when rates go way up, both of which we've seen absolutely in the last 6 to 12 months here, with prices in the last I wouldn't even say 3 years. I would say, the bottom of the market from memory was probably 09-ish. And we've literally had a market going up for 13 years, right? And we're going to get back to that in a little bit. It's been going up the entire time. So when prices are way up, when rates are up, do you say, hey, this is the logical time to wait and we will buy later? And I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of you are probably saying, well, this guy's a realtor. He is a salesman, so he's going to say buy. And that's not what I'm going to say. But then you would think he's probably going to say don't buy. That's not what I would say either. What I would challenge you guys with, and this is what I would say to, and I tell this to my salesmen all the time, don't tell them what gets you a commission. Tell them what you would tell your mom, right? Your mom loves you. She's going to stay with you forever, right? You honestly could go to prison for the rest of your life and she's still going to love you. Man, what if your clients loved you that much too? What if they trusted you so much that they would stick with you no matter what? Be honest with them, and that's exactly what they'll do, right? So I'm a huge fan of helping people make strong decisions, and if it results in business, awesome. If it doesn't, that's how you need to treat people. So I would challenge you to do this. Really think about whatever plan B is. So it's going to be a little bit different for some of you guys, right? If plan B is renting, there's a good possibility that buying still makes sense, even if the rates and the prices are higher, right? And we'll run a little bit of math here in a second. But if you're living with mom and dad, right? Not really overly convenient, probably not all that great of a situation to be in. But when it comes down to finances, is it the best situation to buy? Well, there you've got a little bit more of a leaning towards not buying situation, right? So there's no black and white answer you can give anybody. I would say this. I did a post probably, 6 months ago, something like that. And I talked about what if you had purchased a home at the height of the market before we saw the 2008, 2009 plummet? What would that look like, right? And I said, okay, here's what you would have purchased for. Here's all your closing costs that would have been involved. And over a 10-year span, here's all of the average expenses it would cost to maintain a home based on average expenses annually for homeowners. Here's how much rent would have gone up on average. Here's, whatever. All those different costs, we added them all up. I put it in that post. And at the end of the day, in the height of the market, so you bought it what we could call the dumbest time possible to purchase a home. Right? That'd be the time that most people would fear to have purchased a home, is at the height of the market. Oh my God, why would I do that? But when you look back over this 10-year span, you see that you are saving yourself or making or whatever, but the difference in your wealth is 6 figures in owning a home over that 10-year span. And that is in we could argue, the dumbest time to have purchased. If it's anything other than the dumbest time to have purchased, it's only going to be better, right? And really, you've got to ask yourself, if you're being logical and not emotional, why? Why is that? And it really comes down mostly to the fact that over a year or two span, yes, you may see prices of real estate go way up or way down or sideways or anything in between, right? But it's going to go up over any given 10-year span. It always has. Every single time. So year to year, yeah, it may go up, it may go down, but over any 10-year span, it's always gone up in the past. Now, may that not happen in the future? Sure, but am I going to bet on that? No way am I going to bet on that. I'm going to bet on what I've seen over and over and over and over throughout history. But we've got other things to add to that, right? You've got the pay down of your mortgage. Right now, if you're renting from me, you're paying down my mortgage as a renter. right? But if I buy my own home, I'm paying down my own mortgage. So when you get out of that rental in 10 years, you just make a sideways move to whatever it is you're about to do, right? That's what you do. And there's no reward from that. Even if prices, which this has never happened, but let's say prices didn't go up at all over a 10-year span and I want to sell, I'm still going to get a check at the end of the day because I've paid my mortgage down over the years and I've got that equity. So if I buy a home for 400 grand and I go to sell it for 400 grand, I don't owe 400 grand on the home anymore. Let's just say I got a VA loan and I got 100% financing. Now I might owe 300, 250, whatever it is, right? Depending upon how much you're paying down and what the rates are and a million other things. So now I'm going to get a check for that difference minus my closing costs. That renter did not get a check. And again, that's assuming the prices haven't gone up at all. And again, there's never been a 10-year span where that hasn't happened. So I think a lot of people let their, and this is true with anything, not just real estate, you let your emotions take over and you say, oh, it's scary, times are tough, I'm going to do the unscary thing, which is renting. And while that may be less scary, it's not necessarily more financially intelligent. And let me ask you a question. Would you rather be less scared or would you rather be more financially intelligent? I don't really care how scared I am. I want to make sure I'm making the best financial decision I possibly can at all times, right? So for me, it's going to be a numbers game, and I'm going to look at that. And again, there's no black and white answer because you got to look at what is plan B. If plan B is I'm living with my parents for free and they own a mansion and I've got my own wing, hey, that doesn't sound so bad, right? If you want to rest in that location for a year or two and see what happens to the market, you can maybe buy into that. Again, I would stress, don't just hear what I said and say, Joe said I should do that. I'd say run the numbers. What would it look like if you purchased? What would your principal and interest be? What would your taxes be? What would your insurance be? How much does your principal and interest go up every year? Well, unless you're in an ARM, which most people aren't, it's going to be the same in 10 years and 20 years. And well, in 30 years, you're not going to have a payment. So now you're living in something and you're paying nothing. As a renter, you're still paying in 30 years, right? What would your insurance go up? You can look at typical insurance increases over the year. But remember this, as that insurance goes up, you're like, well, I'm not a homeowner, so luckily I don't have to pay that. You don't think if insurance goes up, your landlord's not going to raise your rent? You're paying that insurance. You're paying it through your rent, right? So when you see rents go way up and you're like, my gosh, they've gone up. It's unfair. They're going up because the cost to own that property, the taxes have gone up. The insurance has gone up. What it takes to mow the lawn or give you the internet or take your garbage out or pay your water bill, whatever, all those different bills go up. When they need to fix the roof or replace the AC or any of that stuff, if that has gone up, they have to increase what they're charging you. So a lot of people think when renters increase their rent, it's because they're money hungry. Yeah, maybe they are, maybe they're not. But at the end of the day, they have increased expenses. So they're not making the profits that they were before. And they bought it to be an investment. Nobody buys a rental property and says, you know what? I'm just going to buy this rental property to help other people out. Maybe an organization will do that, a nonprofit will do that, but a lot of people are purchasing a property because they want to build a future, a financial future for their kids, for their family, for themselves. So they say, hey, people are going to rent anyway. Let me hop in and be the guy who invests in this and make some money. So when their expenses go up, of course, they're going to pass that on to you, right? So look at those numbers and try to look at it as if I were to purchase, right? And let's say the prices are high. It really doesn't matter though, high or low, right? If you're not putting emotion into it, you're just adding numbers. Your emotions don't matter. And then let's look at how long I'm going to live there. And then let's run it over that span of time. Let's say it's 6 years, 8 years, 10 years, whatever it is. What would my closing costs be up front? What would my closing costs be on the back end? What is my principal, interest, taxes, insurance? Maybe you got an HOA fee, whatever it is. What are they likely going to be? What are the average increases over a year based on historical numbers? And what's my financial situation after that? Let's just use 10 years example. Now, what if I was to do the same thing but rent? And in the rental situation, yeah, I've got increasing rents, right? That person may kick me out. I've got inconveniences. A lot of people are not going to own a home for 10 years as a rental. at some point they're going to pass it on to somebody else and sell it because they want to get the equity. Now, does that mean nobody owns a home for 10 years? Absolutely not. Some people do, but the majority don't. And when they sell it to someone who may or may not want to keep it as a rental. So now are you going to have to move? On average, how often does that happen? And what are the rental costs associated with having to move? Add all that up and then look at the numbers. And guys, this is like, I'm talking to you as your dad right now. This is what somebody who truly cares about their financial freedom, their financial future, their financial health. This is what they're going to do. And if you don't know how to do it, you need to contact someone like me or a financial advisor, or someone either in real estate or finances who can walk you through this. That whole task I just talked about, I can walk through with my daughter in 30 minutes. And now she can make a strong financial decision that has nothing to do with her emotions. She's going to have to contend with her emotions because renting sucks. Nobody wants to rent, but buying is painful if it's high prices and relatively high rates, right? But when it comes down to making a good financial decision, I would urge all of you to run the numbers and pitch yourself based on those numbers to make a good, strong financial decision. Now, I'm not going to get into it here, but I will say I have gotten into it in the past on my posts, and I have no problem doing it with you guys. I don't even care if you have another realtor and you're not going to use me. I want to see you make good, strong decisions. So if you're thinking, do I rent or do I buy? Do I live with mom and dad or do I buy? Do I do whatever or do I buy? Please feel free to reach out to me. We'll schedule a time and we'll do a Zoom or we'll meet in person. I am more than happy to go through those numbers again. Even if you've got another realtor and you want to continue using that realtor, that's cool. I just want to make sure that you're making a strong financial decision for your future, regardless of the situation. And guys, there's going to be times when I tell you it doesn't make sense to purchase. And it's not just going to be me telling you and you trusting me. It's going to be me showing you numbers and saying, do you trust these numbers? Are there any numbers here we use that you don't feel are maybe accurate, or they need to be a little bit higher, be a little bit lower, whatever it is, and we can play with it and you can see the number at the end of the day. That is what I almost said, a true professional. You don't have to be a true professional, but this is what a successful person financially does with everything. They're doing it with their vehicles. They're doing it with their investments. They're doing it with their real estate. They're doing it with, do I send my kids to private school or public school? Is it worth, because obviously private school is going to cost me more. Is it worth the advantage that I'm getting? Everything is looked at from a standpoint of ROI or return on investment. Am I getting back something that's worth that money? So really, guys, I'm pushing you to get into that mindset. And if you're not in the mindset that you want to be, reach out to someone like me, and I'm more than happy to help you through those numbers. Guys, have an absolutely fired up Friday. Have a great weekend. Let's go, man.